One more time. One more time. One more time. They're rushing. Take A. They're about to do one more time. They're quickening their pace right now. The camera just goes swinging up and down this track, back and forth, back and forth. There goes the slate again for the mark. Set. One extra is right off to our left in hat and coat. Here comes. Okay. The extra to our left crosses over the track just before the dolly comes through. So as he is heading across the street, the camera's coming past, shooting him, going across the street. Looking down.
And cut.
And cut.
Cut. Sorry. Okay. Good. Thank you. Jimmy, get up. Thank you.
Thank you. You can get up, Jim. And that's the take. And you're listening to Visions, a series of visits to almost everywhere. And we are in Baltimore, but for Unsolved Mysteries purposes, we're in Manhattan right now, 7th Avenue. We're at the Belvedere Condominiums, formerly the Belvedere Hotel. We're shooting a segment of Unsolved Mysteries. The working title, the internal working title is CIA Cover-Up. I do not see Eric Olson, the son of Frank Olson, the subject of this segment. I guess he's gone home. Right now the street is empty. It appears to be bathed in a blue light, but that's only up against the wall here on the other side, across the street from the Belvedere. The extras have gone inside. Everybody's off the street. What is going to be happening now is they're going to be shooting on our side of the street, in front of the Monumental Life building. This street will simulate the street in New York City where he was wandering around aimlessly, seemingly under the influence. So this is a New York City street. There's a trash basket here and an old-fashioned trash bin. It says push on it. It's a trash can. It says please deposit trash in cans. Very old-time trash can with this swinging door on the top. So they're setting up for this shot now. He is getting cleaned up, getting rid of the blood, getting dressed, and eventually and very soon he will be wandering aimlessly on the streets of New York. So that's the shot we're setting for. The scene that's going to be shot right now is again Dr. Olson walking aimlessly through the streets of Manhattan. He comes upon this trash basket with a banana peel, a bottle sticking out of the can. There are two trash cans here. Again, we're right behind the camera. It's still on the dolly. He is going to be walking from our left to the right. He is now in suit and hat with a container of coffee. I guess he won't be using the container of coffee. It's a very 94 container. He will walk aimlessly as if drugged. He is staggering. He's walking along the building. A couple of passers by. He's coming past. He is carrying that container with him. Listlessly walking aimlessly, the camera just ahead of him and moving to our right on the dolly. He reaches into his right rear pocket, takes out his wallet, opens it up with one hand, looks for papers, ID. There go two passers-by, taking out some papers. Right now, not throwing papers in, but seeming to throw papers into the trash, putting the wallet back in his right rear pocket, and taking instruction now from Bob Wise, the director. Another quick insight here, a little sidebar as it were. One of the passers-by on the street of Manhattan was the bellhop. in the scene in front of the Statler Hotel. So double duty over here, but as I understand, not double pay. Okay, here we go again, another rehearsal spot. He does not have the container with him now, and I didn't think he was going to have the container with him because it is a very 90s container. He's staggering even more pronounced now. His staggering is even more pronounced. Speaking to himself, talking to himself, kind of nodding to the passerby, the bellhop from the last scene. And he's talking to himself. Again, back into his right rear pocket, takes the wallet out, opens it up. And this time, again, simulating throwing papers out. They're using a spotlight. We're looking off to our left. There's a spotlight with a yellow gelatin sheet over it. Clear. You look through it, and it casts a yellow light up against the wall of the Monumental Life building, and it kind of breaks up the light and gives it a little texture. So that's everything is lights, and in this case, again, there's a piece in front of the spotlight that has the yellow gel over it, and there are cutouts, so it's like sort of like a stencil, different shapes cut out, different stencils, and again it breaks up the light, and there's a shadow of Dr. Olson up against the wall, very eerie. Now he's tearing up papers and throwing them out. So he in fact is tearing. There's play money. He's torn up this money. He's disgusted, frustrated, and he continues to walk very much in a stupor. So he's gone back into the can to get his, actually threw his whole wallet out that time. He was digging around the trash for whatever he left in there. The can itself is propped up on one of those boxes that Terry was talking about before. Now they've just propped it up with another half box. So the can, the standard trash can is about a foot off the ground. It's the wire type basket, and then there's another can with the swinging door alongside of it, and it's being propped up now, and it is also about again about a foot off the ground, and they're putting the can up there, so apparently better for the camera shot. Another insight here as we move along, getting ready to take this shot. One of the extras, Dan, I believe his name is, he's a smoker, and he smokes Merit, and this has happened in 1953. There were no filter cigarettes in 1953, so he is smoking, but he does have to hide the filter.
Everything that you told me to do, because I don't want to have anything to say.
The voice you're hearing is Dr. Frank Olson, Jim Scadlin. He's becoming more paranoid and more disoriented as he gets more into the scene. It is about 4:15 right now in the morning. It is a Monday morning. The streets are clear. There are no more onlookers. Everybody has disappeared. We are by ourselves, just you and I and the rest of this production. We have been abandoned by bystanders and onlookers and people taking photographs. An occasional car comes past, but it's very quiet right now in the streets of Baltimore. One point, if you're hearing something that sounds like Slate at 2 or Slate at 8, what we're listening to, it's a board, it's sort of like a clapboard. When they get ready to shoot a scene, they take 8 and they put this board up, and it's got a clapper, and they clap it down, and that's the sound you hear. When they say Slate at 8, that means, let's say there's a digital readout, GED, not GED, but well, a digital readout, and it's flashing right along by the second. So all the actors, all the principals know when that number hits 8, it's a red printout. When that number hits an 8 or a 10 or 12, whatever the case is, that's when the activity begins, and shortly thereafter action is called. So it's a timing device. And of course, each take they just change the take number, and there are people charting all this. So it's a timing device. So when they look back, they know exactly at what point, at what time each take happened. So they look right at it. You just heard that clapboard again. By the way, there's plenty of play money to go around. He's been tearing up play money, and he tears it up and throws it into the can, and then they just hand him more play money for the next take. And there's a lady sitting over here. She's getting the play money ready. She's folding it and crumpling it up and wrinkling it so it's easy to get to. Okay, he's ready again. You heard that click just now, that clap. Action.
Sorry?
There was a stoppage, and I think I know what the stoppage was. There's a gentleman, the sound man. There are like numerous technicians there. There's the sound man, and he has a boom. It's about probably about a 8-foot pole, and at the end of it is this boom mic with a pop screen over it, sort of a windscreen, and he reaches over with this thing in the direction of the character coming down the street, and the lights caused a shadow. The boom, there was a shadow, so we're going to start again. I think that's what it is. There are some shadows happening here. You heard that click again, that clap. I do not see that shadow now. Okay, that's a wrap, I guess. Bob, you finished now? Oh, we finished now? Because I feel like a member of the team now.
Welcome to the team.
Thank you.
Yeah, we're all done. That's what they call a wrap.
Okay, so it's over. You're going to strike the set now.
It's time to strike the equipment and put everything back the way it was for 1994, put it all in the truck, and off we go.
How'd it go?
It went really well. It was a tough shoot. We had a lot of material to cover. It's a very complicated shoot. But we did real well. I think the actors were great, and I think the interviews were really good, and I'm sure we're going to come out with a good piece.
Okay, so what happens from here now? All the film is put into cans and taped, and what's the next step?
Well, the film goes back to Los Angeles, where it'll be processed and transferred over to videotape, and it'll be editing. It's all done in videotape, and that'll take probably 2 to 3 weeks of editing, and then it will be, all put together what they call a master tape and sent off to NBC for broadcast.
What was interesting is after every take you said, "That's good, I liked it, that's good, let's do it again."
Yeah, it's kind of a classic joke, because that was perfect, but let's do it again. Well, we do a number of takes on almost everything, because you can always get better at it. There's always subtle improvements you can make, and time allotting, you'll do as many as you can. At some point you say, all right, after 5 or 6 takes, you've gotten what you'll get, and time to move on.
You asked me a question just now. You kind of questioned me about why I say take A, take B, take C, take D, and occasionally I do leave it on the show so people kind of get a little insight into the way it comes together. But basically, it's an odd question because you do that as well. I mean, what is your timing device? I guess you work with the slate.
Right. With film production, you have film and tape. Audio tape is separate, and you need a way of linking them up and syncing them together. And that's what that slate is. Let's say take 7, which you hear the 7, you see the number 7, so you know what the slate is, and then you hear the banging of the 2 pieces of wood together, and that's your marker for audio as well as a visual cue. And then from there you can line them up until the next take, until you turn the camera off again.
Okay, so what is your next, do you know what your next gig is going to be, your next piece is going to be at this point?
My next story is going to be in about an hour outside of Atlanta, and it's a ghost story. A family that's been haunted by 3 or 4 different ghosts, and
Your favorite kind?
I like them. It's my first one as a director. I've done a few otherwise, and it's interesting. It's a little 8-year-old girl besides, so it's that much more intriguing.
So you're going to have a good time with it. Okay, so this is a wrap. It's all over with now. Do you get home and go, gee, I should have done this, or that could have been better?
Yeah, we do that all the
time.
Yeah, sure. You always think of things that you missed or things you messed up on, but hopefully they're not too big and that you can either fix them or don't worry about them. Hopefully we're all good enough at our work that we don't make too many big mistakes.
Has that happened so far? Has anything occurred to you? Because now that you're finished with the bedroom scene, the hotel scene, the office scene, anything occurred to you that you could have done differently now?
I think the only thing that I thought about was in the scene where we have the police officers barging into the room and finding Mr. Lashbrook on in the toilet sitting and sort of meditating. We had a black officer, and the question was whether or not in 1953 there were many black officers on the NYPD force. We figured there wouldn't be many, but there probably were enough. Obviously, if we were doing a story in the Ku Klux Klan in the South, you'd have to be a lot more careful about that. Right. But no, I think we've done pretty well otherwise.
So that's, how many scenes you would miss? I didn't get to see the hotel, the room scene. I had to get going. Of course, I saw the doctor's office. I didn't see the bathroom scene. I saw these 2 scenes down there. What did we miss?
You missed a lot of the interviews. The first day and a half we spent just doing our interviews. And then we've done, I guess, I don't know, I've lost track, probably 7 or 8 scenes. There's the scene of the doctor's office. I know what you missed. You missed the log cabin scene, which is where the LSD was first administered to the scientists. And we did probably 4 scenes in that one location. It's
amazing all this time. Now, when I get finished with this, I'll have 1 hour, one hour piece, and then probably an hour and a half or 2 hours. You're going to get it down to 12 minutes, and you did a lot more filming than I did, a lot more taping. So this is a tough job.
It's a tough job. It's a lot of work. It's 4 or 5 days of work, and a crew of 6 or 7 people working 12, 14 hours a day to come down to 12 minutes. But as you've probably learned watching us for the last few days, there's a lot of waiting, a lot of figuring, a lot of reworking before you ever roll an inch of film. There's a lot of hours and time and effort that go into it before you can even roll, and that's where the effort really is.
All right. Okay, so this was a dinner and breakfast date. So the breakfast is waiting inside. Bob, I thank you very much. You're going to be you're a New Yorker, I guess?
Well, I live in Los Angeles now, but originally New York, yeah.
Okay, so I thank you very much for inviting me on the set. This was very entertaining, and much continued success in this very exciting career. Maybe if I were on the set more often, I'd be a little more dull to it at this point, but I've had a very exciting time, and I thank you for the invite.
Well, I'm really glad you can make it, actually. I think it's an interesting project that you're involved in, and I hope the audience really understands what's going on over here.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you. We're back with Jeannie O'Neill, producer of this segment of Unsolved Mysteries. A little bit of your background. I don't know that you know the air date for this episode yet, but some general air time and air date information on Unsolved Mysteries, a swell series, by the way.
Unsolved Mysteries is on Wednesday nights at 8 on NBC. Starting this fall, our first 4 shows in September are actually going to be on Sunday nights at 7. After that, we're going to move to Friday nights at 8. That'll be a new thing for us, so we're anxious to see how we do in our new time slot, Friday nights at 8. But right now, during reruns, this being August, we're still on Wednesday nights at 8 on NBC.
Okay, NBC, and the company that produces the series?
Is Cosgrove Mirror Productions. It's an independent production company in Burbank, California.
Your background, you're about 18, your background.
Thank you, I wish. I've been with the company for 4 years. I've been doing this field producing for about 1 year and 5 months. This is my 10th segment, and that's my background with the company.
I do catch also Unsolved Mysteries on Lifetime cable, so that's on every a couple of times a day.
Right. And that's actually helped ratings. There was some concern. You wonder, would we be flooding the market with too much unsolved mysteries, but actually that's been a good thing.
Yeah, I especially love everything you do on UFOs and supernatural. The thing from the Queen Mary was great. The sounds, the voices. Robert Stack is great. And as I've been saying throughout this episode, I go back to Raymond Burr when he hosted, the late Raymond Burr, when he hosted Unsolved Mysteries. I commend you on an exceptional series, and I'll continue to be a fan. And you're always in the top 10, so I'm not a Nielsen family, but of course, I guess I help a little bit.
Maybe some of your listeners are. That would be nice.
Yeah, it's a really great series. Anybody who hasn't caught it, check this out. It's a really, really exceptional series. I thank you very much, and you've been great, and I appreciate your, and the food is terrific, and the cookies seem home-baked. The crafts are really great here. I thank you.
We try. Thank you.
You've been listening to Visions, a series of visits to almost everywhere. I'm your host and fellow traveler, Herb Malsman. It's a Monday morning, August 8th. Before I close, I want to do a couple of thank yous. I want to thank Tim Rogan of Cosgrove Muir Productions, who produced this very fine series, Unsolved Mysteries. I want to thank Tim for allowing me to come on the set and being privy to this event here in Baltimore. Thank you for listening. For Visions, a series of visits to almost everywhere, I'm your host and fellow traveler, Herb Malsman. The extra to our left crosses over the track just before the dolly comes through. So as he is heading across the street, the camera's coming past, shooting him going across the street. Looking down.
And cut.
And cut.
Terry? Okay. Good. Thank you. Jimmy, get up. Thank you.
Thank you. You can get up, Jim. And that's the take. And you're listening to Visions, a series of visits to almost everywhere. And we are in Baltimore. The extras have gone inside. Everybody's off the street. What is going to be happening now is they're going to be shooting on our side of the street, in front of the Monumental Life building. This street will simulate the street in New York City where he was wandering around aimlessly, seemingly under the influence. So this is a New York City street. There's a trash basket here and an old-fashioned trash bin. It says push on it. It's a trash can. One more time. One more time. One more time. They're rushing. Take 8. They're about to do one more time. They're quickening their pace right now. The camera just goes swinging up and down this track, back and forth, back and forth. There goes the slate again for the mark. Set. One extra is right over to our left in hat and coat. Here comes. Go there. But for Unsolved Mysteries purposes, we're in Manhattan right now, 7th Avenue. We're at the Belvedere Condominiums, formerly the Belvedere Hotel. We're shooting a segment of Unsolved Mysteries. The working title, the internal working title is CIA Cover-Up. I do not see Eric Olson, the son of Frank Olson, the subject of this segment. I guess he's gone home. Right now the street is empty. It appears to be bathed in a blue light, but that's only up against the wall here on the other side, across the street from the Belvedere. says, please deposit trash in cans. Very old-time trash can with the swinging door on the top. So they're setting up for this shot now. He is getting cleaned up, getting rid of the blood, getting dressed, and eventually and very soon he will be wandering aimlessly on the streets of New York. So that's the shot we're setting for. The scene that's going to be shot right now is again Dr. Olson walking aimlessly